They call you cold, arrogant, unforgiving. But what if I told you that moment, when you just cut someone out of your life completely, isn't a character flaw? What if it's the flawless execution of an ancient survival program hardwired into your very being? There's an invisible signal, a 400 millisecond flash that your brain picks up on before someone even opens their mouth to lie. And I'm going to show you exactly what that biological trigger is. What most people dismiss as emotional impulsivity is what neuroscience recognizes as an elite psychological immune system firing on all cylinders. While the herd is focused on the final moment you slammed the door and walked away, they were completely blind to the months, even years, of silent intelligence gathering your mind was running in the background. Your brain doesn't ignore those tiny signals that average people write off as a flash of paranoia. The promise that was subtly changed, the compliment carrying a hidden blade of envy, the microscopic shift in their tone of voice, the moment you share a win, to the average person, that's just background noise. But to your biology, each one is a plot point on a terrifying graph, revealing a relentless trajectory toward toxicity and predation. What they call coldness, that's actually surgical clarity. It's the inevitable conclusion of an analysis most minds aren't equipped to even begin. They live in the noise. You detect the pattern. And let me ask you, since when did having a weak immune system and tolerating constant infection become the desirable standard? This ability to detect and excise what drains you is not an accident. Science is just now beginning to understand the mechanisms behind this rare capacity, and what they're discovering proves that your brain isn't less attached. It is in fact far more protective of its own energy. And once you understand how this biological machinery actually works, you realize why so few are built this way. That ability you have to sniff out what's off in people, that isn't a flaw in your design. It's a survival mechanism, forged in fire. Your brain was wired from a very young age in environments where your emotional survival depended entirely on decoding what wasn't being said. While the average brain was learning to take words at face value, yours was being fine-tuned to detect the slightest tremor of dishonesty in someone's voice, the microsecond of hesitation, the clash between a smile and the tension in their neck. You weren't taught to be distrustful. You were taught to validate reality through a data stream that most people don't even know is there. The biology of the person standing right in front of you. This perception isn't an opinion, it's neuroscience. Researcher Lisa Feldman Barrett at Northeastern University proved that the brain doesn't just react to the world, it's constantly predicting it. What you feel isn't paranoia. It's your brain running a predictive model for social threats with an accuracy the average person would call science fiction. Your central nervous system isn't waiting for the attack, it's identifying the preconditions for it, long before they ever take shape. And this has been observed in the lab. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute identified a specific pattern of brain activity in individuals who process microexpressions of contempt and tonal inconsistencies, signals that 99% of people don't even register. The brain in these individuals doesn't just perceive these signals, it instantly catalogs them as confirmed threats. The evolutionary purpose of this mechanism is the very line that separates the hunter from the prey. And that's why when you finally slam the door on someone, it looks like a sudden explosion to everyone else. But for you, it's the inevitable conclusion of a deep biological scan. This isn't an emotional outburst. It's a toxic tolerance threshold that has been reached and then breached. It's your limbic system, your most primal brain, signaling that the energy invested in maintaining that connection now outweighs the cost of amputation. It is a cellular survival decision, not social drama. Your entire system has run the numbers. Their presence is a low-grade poison, and the only logical action is permanent quarantine. So if science itself confirms your brain operates on a superior level of detection, why would you ever accept the broken label the world keeps trying to force on you? Society has programmed you to give second chances, and third ones, and then some. Your biology, however, was engineered to detect a threat on the very first signal. This is the central conflict that makes you feel like you're losing your mind. You're not. You're living in the midst of a silent epidemic, normosis, the disease of being dangerously normal, What they label as your intolerance or impatience is in fact a highly calibrated social immune system, a detection mechanism for behavioral pathogens that the majority of the population has lost. You watch others get drained by people your system flagged with screaming red lights from the first minute, and you wonder why the pattern isn't obvious. The answer is brutal. For them, it isn't. The average brain wasn't designed for that level of resolution. This world wasn't built for you. It was optimized for the neurological average, which tolerates the mediocre and the toxic as if it's the air they breathe. This is precisely why your calm in the face of their chaos is so profoundly unsettling to them. A manipulator's brain thrives on emotional reactivity. It needs your outburst to validate their victim narrative. Your silence isn't passivity. It's a biological weapon. Your non-reaction cuts off the very fuel they feed on, destabilizing their brain chemistry, not yours. It's the declaration that the game is over because you were never even playing. The status quo needs you reactive, compliant, and sick. Because an organism with clear boundaries is a terrible consumer and doesn't fall in line. They'll call you impatient, but that's only because your biology is ruthlessly efficient with its emotional resources. But your biology has a different plan, and the key to mastering this advantage isn't in your attitude, it's in your brain chemistry. That unsettling calm you feel after cutting someone out of your life isn't a lack of emotion. It's the purest execution of a survival protocol. Neuroscience shows your autonomic nervous system is making a calculated shift. It shuts down the ventral vagal circuit, your neural pathway for social connection, and activates the protective immobilization circuit. Your body isn't feeling anger or indifference, it's executing a biological quarantine. The stream of cortisol that person was injecting into your system comes to a dead stop. That calm you feel is the sound of your system returning to homeostasis, its perfect state of balance. It's not coldness, it's biological efficiency. And the reason for this highly tuned biology comes from the one place evolution is forged, the arena of survival. Research from the Max Planck Institute on social pattern detection revealed something brutal. In ancestral environments, the individual who could spot the parasite in the group before anyone else was the one who secured more resources and safety. Your radar isn't a flaw, it's an inheritance. You don't descend from those who trusted everyone. You descend from the ones who were biologically wired to detect the threat and survive. That clarity is your genetic legacy. But knowing you're biologically advanced is one thing. Learning how to wield that sensitivity as a strategic weapon, that's what separates those who survive from those who dominate. So how do you put this biology to work for you? Not as a defense mechanism, but as an elite navigation system. The first directive is to calibrate your dissonance detector. Before you act, your system needs an accurate diagnosis. Is this deliberate malice or just biological incompetence? Is it a predator in disguise or simply a loud, unsophisticated organism? The ability to differentiate a real threat from harmless background noise is what separates a reactive guardian from a surgical strategist. You don't react to everything. You allocate your response only to what your biological analysis confirms as a danger to your internal ecosystem. This isn't an emotional decision, it's a data assessment. The second directive is resource management. Your energy is not social fuel meant to warm up empty rooms. It's a resource for deep processing. Spending it on low-authenticity interactions, on shallow conversations, or on listening to empty performances isn't socializing. It's biological sabotage. The world was designed for the average, a stage that rewards extroverted performance. You weren't. Your brain has a more important mission: to decode reality, not perform in it. Protecting your energy isn't isolation, it's the intelligent allocation of a rare resource for the missions that truly matter. And that brings us to the third directive, the quarantine protocol. When your internal system confirms a persistent threat, the decision to cut someone off isn't an emotional outburst. It's not an act of rage, it's surgery. The silence you enforce isn't a punishment, it's the removal of a toxic agent. Most people, operating on the superficial level of relationships, will call this cold, or they'll call it cowardice. But in the biology of survival, it has another name: efficiency. They see a closed door and pass judgment. You see a protected ecosystem, thriving. You didn't give up on the person. Your psychological immune system simply eliminated an incompatibility to ensure the integrity of the entire organism. The very fact that you've made it this far is proof that your brain operates on a different frequency. Most people don't have the attention span to process this layer of information. They've already clicked away. If you recognize yourself in this evolutionary wiring, then this is where you belong. We're not a support group, we are a living laboratory. Tell us in the comments, what was the first signal your system gave you about someone that the collective hypnosis around you completely missed? Let's map the intelligence of our own biology. You're not too sensitive, reactive, or broken. You're an advanced biological detection system, a legacy passed down from the ones who survived. This isn't a flaw that needs to be fixed. It's an evolutionary advantage that the majority, wired for the surface level, will never grasp. If you recognize yourself in this lineage, if your mind operates by decoding reality instead of just reacting to it, you already belong in this ecosystem. The subscribe button isn't a request, it's your act of recognition. And the like isn't for the video, it's a signal flare for the algorithm to find others who are feeling isolated by their own clarity, so they can also hear that they aren't broken, they're advanced. Now that you understand your detection biology, the next step is to transform it from a shield into a weapon. In the video that's appearing here, we're going to dissect how to use this clarity not just to protect yourself, but to reshape environments in your favor. If understanding the origin of your power was a revelation, learning to apply it will be a transformation. Remember, you don't need to fix yourself to fit into a world that wasn't designed for you. You just need to understand the power of your own design. And today, you took the most important step.